get all the alcohol out, get the thing running, and we did exactly that, but the injector was still stuck, so it just kept flooding the motor.
We all feel the need for speed, which is why reality TV shows like Street Outlaws have captured our hearts. Despite the illegal nature of street racing, the show endures, giving us a front row seat to the adrenaline-pumping action as drivers push their souped-up cars to the limit in the race to be crowned king of the streets. But let's not forget, street racing is illegal for a reason. It's incredibly dangerous. Street Outlaws' own Daddy Dave knows this all too well, having narrowly escaped the Grim Reaper scythe twice. Join us as we dive into what really happened to Daddy Dave from Street Outlaws.
Who'd you draw?
Chris in the black Corvette.
Okay.
He made a good pass.
Yeah, he did, actually.
My fellow list racers get mad when I show up with my S10 because this thing makes a lot of horsepower, and that's what it's going to take to win this daily driver.
For Street Outlaws, Oklahoma is where it all began, and the same goes for Daddy Dave. Born David Comstock on April 4, 1973 in Shawnee, Oklahoma, to Peter and Marge Comstock, Dave's foray into the world of racing started as a teenager. Dave graduated from Bath Haverling High School in 1991, but his passion for cars didn't ignite until he got his driver's license. His first ride was his dad's 1978 Chevrolet Impala. Peter Comstock instilled a love for cars in his kids, being a big NASCAR fan and a speed enthusiast himself. But Peter wasn't the only car lover in the family. Dave's mom, Marge, used to tear up the drag racing scene back in her day, and even though the cars back then barely hit 100 miles per hour, Dave pushed every car to its limit, driving as fast as its speedometer would allow. Dave got into racing very early, but before he crossed paths with Justin Shearer, more popularly known as Big Chief, all the races he had been involved in were hush-hush underground racing. Although Big Chief paved the way for Daddy Dave's rise to stardom on reality TV, they initially had a rocky past that involved not talking to each other for over a decade. Daddy Dave and Big Chief didn't get along because, according to Big Chief, Daddy Dave was a bully. As a young teenage racer, Daddy Dave began earning his street cred by working for Wayne Varley. Back then, Varley was #1 in the racing scene, but he and Daddy Dave fell out when Dave supposedly threw a race to a driver Varley wasn't keen on losing to. The racing scene in Oklahoma is very different from what it is right now. It lacked organization. Big Chief didn't like the way things were being run. No one was taking charge. Sometimes everyone would meet at some abandoned parking lot, but no race would take place, and everyone just ended up going home. Big Chief took charge of the Oklahoma racing scene. He paired the drivers for the races and made sure that no one got in trouble with the law whenever they were in his races. As time passed, Big Chief soon earned a reputation for organizing races while keeping everyone safe, and more people began to join the races he organized. It was around this time that Daddy Dave put aside the bad blood between himself and Big Chief and started participating in the races. This friendship blossomed into a partnership that took them to the reality TV realm and beyond. However, their first appearance on TV wasn't the popular Street Outlaws we all know and love. In 2006, Daddy Dave was already a prominent member of the Oklahoma racing scene. His first reality TV appearance was in the TV series Pinks, which aired on a sports-oriented cable channel called Speed. On the show, Daddy Dave was the driver for the Wide Open Throttle team from Oklahoma. He was driving a 1989 Ford Mustang, an absolute monster of a machine that was camouflaged as a street car. Jeff Bonnet served as the captain of the team, while Big Chief played the role of negotiator. As the name of the show suggests, if you lose the race, you lose your ride. On the show, Daddy Dave won his first race, but his opponent accused him of sandbagging. They had another run where his opponent's car was 2.5 lengths ahead of Daddy Dave's car, and he still won. A third and final race was scheduled. Daddy Dave won the final race when the opponent broke his axle during the race. After the win, Daddy Dave's team sold the car back to the losing team at a reasonable price. Daddy Dave appeared with this team again on a special episode. This time, he was paired against a 1977 Chevy Vega wagon nicknamed the Woolly Mammoth. In the first race, which was a heads-up, the Woolly Mammoth won by 6 car lengths. In the second race, Daddy Dave won as the Mammoth started developing technical issues. Daddy Dave won the third race with 8 car lengths and a fourth with 3 car lengths, making a name for himself as one of the fastest drivers on the streets. After Pinks, Daddy Dave's next appearance on reality TV would be on Street Outlaws. Daddy Dave appeared in the first season of the show in his 1996 GMC Sonoma S10 pickup. Like every other driver that appeared on the show, his goal was to make it to the list, which will comprise the 10 fastest Oklahoma street racers. Daddy Dave didn't seem to have much of a chance with his pickup truck, but he proved the naysayers wrong. He rose to number 3 on the list, held onto it when Monza challenged him, moved up to number 2, then challenged Murder Nova for the top spot and won. 5 seasons into Street Outlaws, Daddy Dave parted ways with his sponsor, a construction magnate known as Jackie Knox. The 1996 GMC Sonoma pickup that Daddy Dave drove in the first 5 seasons of the show belonged to Knox. Knox and Daddy Dave had formed a partnership in 2007 when Knox was undergoing back surgeries and couldn't drive, so Daddy Dave had been driving the Sonoma for Knox. With Daddy Dave behind the wheel, the Sonoma pickup reigned as the king of the streets. However, Daddy Dave decided to make his mark and reign as king of the streets with his own car, a 1963 Chevy Nova nicknamed Goliath. The car was built in his own shop, Comstock Auto Service. In the 6th season of Street Outlaws, Daddy Dave launched the Chevy Nova in an episode aptly titled David and Goliath versus the 405. Daddy Dave's goal was to rise to the top of the racing scene just as Big Chief had done with his twin turbocharged Pontiac, nicknamed the Crow. Unfortunately, a setback forced a temporary setback on those plans. In 2015, Daddy Dave crashed his new car Goliath at a no-prep race at the Amarillo Dragway in Texas. Daddy Dave lost control of Goliath right after the race began, slammed into a concrete barrier, and then flipped 6 times before coming to a stop. The horrific accident left onlookers screaming, and reports of him having passed away started to spread. Fortunately, Daddy Dave was quickly rescued from the wreck and rushed to an emergency room at a nearby hospital, where he was diagnosed with a serious concussion, a bruised lung, and numerous bumps and bruises. Daddy Dave's wife, Cassie, assured the fans with a post on Facebook saying that Daddy Dave is alive and well. One of the nitrous bottles in the car had come loose and hit Daddy Dave in the head, but luckily, he was protected by his helmet, and there were no serious complications. Despite the severity of the crash, Daddy Dave has no memory of what happened during the crash. When Daddy Dave recovered, he went right back to racing. Since Goliath was out of commission, he drove Plan B, a Chevrolet Corvette from Henson Racing Engines. He competed in the Shark Pool so he could rank higher up on the list. Again, Daddy Dave made it to the number 1 spot, but he decided to drop out because he wanted to be on top with his own car. Daddy Dave made a comeback. He fixed the 1963 Chevy Nova, upgraded it, and gave it the nickname Goliath 2. But in 2021, he faced another setback. Daddy Dave was paired up with Bob Ducat at the South Georgia Motorsports Park in a Race Your Way event for Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. After he crossed the finish line, Goliath 2 went off course, took a hard right, and slammed into the guardrail. Onlookers blamed the rain that fell before the race as the reason for the crash, but Daddy Dave came to clear the air, saying it was his fault. He said he made a rookie mistake and was focusing on Bob Ducat instead of his own driving. This made him release his parachutes too late. However, he promises fans that Goliath 2 would be back faster and better than it ever was. The Goliath 2 was back racing just as Daddy Dave promised, and in 2022, he got back on top of the list at No Prep Kings in Tulsa. However, late in 2023, Daddy Dave sold Goliath 2. An Audi S5 and a Monte Carlo with 1460 horsepower have taken its place. While he still actively participates in Street Outlaws racing, he updates his fans about his cars and other racing builds through his YouTube channel, Daddy Dave Racing.